What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Alliance show. We're a little late this morning, but we're doing our best to be the bridge between our fellow real estate investors, entrepreneurs alike, and the cryptocurrency space where crypto is the biggest opportunity over the next few years. And it's not even close. We've got some cool things to talk about this morning. But of course, before we do that, Corey, take it away.
Absolutely. Corey Geary here, and absolutely blessed to be on this wonderful journey, guys. With you guys, we're going to use cryptocurrency as a wealth creation tool and use some real estate as a wealth preservation tool. And it's been exciting times, with leading into Christmas. We're starting to see this new formation happen on Pulse Chain, on Pulse specifically, PulseX and Hex. There's some levels of resistance we need to get through. But what's really interesting that I really want to talk about today is the ETH chart. And I know Hans kind of is the one who pointed it out to me this morning. And I see Sprackburger in the comments. And actually, I don't know, Dane, maybe if you wanted to send Sprackburger a link and he wanted to come in here and do a quick TA analysis on ETH versus Pulse, if he's up for it. I think he had mentioned it the other night when we were on Frank's call. But this is the first time that ETH has moved in a bullish manner against Pulse since its blow off top, which was I don't know, what was that, 5 months ago? Absolutely ridiculous how long ago that was. And we're seeing bullish momentum against Pulse on the ETH token. This is really can stir some things up in the ecosystem because, I mean, you want to talk about how do we get more people providing liquidity? How do we get more people coming across and chasing Pulse X and putting money into the DEX and buying the ETH token? Like, this is going to do it. Like, this is what supports the ecosystem as a whole. And that's what Hans was talking about on some of his stuff. He was like, hey, is Pulse Chain pumping because B Roots went on to RAN? Is Pulse Chain pumping because we're going into the Bitcoin halving? Or is the real reason why Pulse Chain is pumping is because ETH is moving up against Pulse and now it's doing what it's supposed to do? So I don't know. This is a very interesting talking point. And I thought it'd be fun to bring this up on the show today. And it'll be really cool if we get Sprack up here and he could kind of give us some more context on the charts. But we know that Pulse X is, as far as that is concerned, as a DEX and that part of the ecosystem, ETH really, man, it needs to it can't be just dumped forever and ever and ever and ever. Like, that is a very, very vibrant part, or it's very needed. The use case of ETH is needed. And so, like, I don't know, man. I always speculated, like, maybe it's going to be the DAO token. Maybe Richard Hart will attach it to the wallet somehow. And what we need, that's called bullish divergence right there, where you have it's going down, but on the, what do you call that down there? The RSI is going up. And I'll let Sprack talk about it. I'll butcher. I'm not a TA guy at all. I'll butcher the crap out of this. Yeah, we need this. And I maybe it's because the whole ecosystem as a whole is starting to shift. And if you think about it, Dane, the ETH token has a very low market cap. I think it's only, and you might want to check Dex Screener for this, but I think it's like around a $7 million market cap or something like that. And $10 million market cap. So I guess when you compare that to like something like Pulse, that has, I don't know, it's $800 or $900 million market cap. When you're talking about when things start moving, it don't take as much economic energy to push up ETH versus pushing up Pulse. And so if somebody really did want to like buy up all the supply of ETH, it would absolutely make the price chart rip versus Pulse. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening. I have no idea what's going to happen. This is not financial advice, guys. Even when Sprack comes on, none of this is financial advice. Go buy bonds. Go talk to a financial advisor, like Sami always says. We're just dudes on the internet speculating, but this could be fun to talk about. So, Sprack, what's up, bro? Welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're a little late today. We were. I've been running backwards, man, ever since I've been back from Puerto Rico. I'm trying to catch up. I still got to reach out to Crypto Coffee. We were supposed to have him on this week. I screwed that up. That was my fault. I got to reach out to him and talk about that. So much. I'm behind on everything, man. Getting from Puerto Rico to Arizona, so but we're getting caught up, bro. So yeah, man.
Yeah, it's
What's
all
up
good.
with the ink token, dude? Can you tell me?
I don't know. I mean, I think you it's kind of like that chicken and the egg thing where you're saying like, oh, ink's getting more uh valuable so people can, farm it and this and that, or is ink getting more valuable because Pulse is getting valuable and people are farming ink. So uh yeah, that's I can't answer that. But you're right. There is a shift in the momentum, and that could be a good thing. It's one of those things where like everybody's sitting on the sideline until they get a confirmation, and the people that buy the bottom are the visionaries. Then you
Yeah,
get then you get the people that can read the signals and say, okay, something's happening, and then those are your early adopters. And then there's people that jump in after this thing's already mooning. And so they've missed like the first 4 or 5x.
yeah. I don't want to be that guy. That's the worst. I've been that guy before.
I think that I mean, I can't speak for anyone else because there's been some very, very successful people that have that confirmation and they only get in on confirmations.
Sure.
But again, you stick to your plan, whatever your plan was. Don't go chasing something that is not in your personality. And so like there's people that really love buying these bottoms, but then it bottoms again and then it bottoms again. So if you're comfortable with that, then and you know how to, you know, diversify that risk into DCA
Yep.
or how there's a strategy to doing all of these things. So I'm sort of in the middle. I'm sort of where like I don't necessarily buy the bottom, but once I see shift in momentum, once I see some of the things that you're talking about, then I start to get interested and then I look for a trend line break. And then when I see a trend line break coupled with the momentum oscillators and those indicators, then I can look for like a retest of that area. And so you start developing those higher lows, and then you could start getting sort of that happy middle ground between buying the bottom and buying the confirmation. So you're getting like a little bit of some edge towards your trade. And yeah, it's the best I could describe it.
What are your thoughts about Inc being a $10 million market cap versus like where Pulse is like $700 to $900 million market cap? I can't remember exactly where it's at, but like, is could that also be why Inc could run maybe harder against Pulse? If
Yeah,
we do start shifting momentum because it's just not a lot. Like a one whale or even a shark could come in and eat up all that supply
yeah,
rather quickly at these low prices if he really wanted to, right?
that's right. There's only 5 million of liquidity in this pool. So, some nice bids could come up and double the price
It's
pretty quickly.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really easy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially, like who would want to do that? Well, let's just say that somebody who had a really big LP position on Pulse and Pulse X, and they could also buy up the ink token and push the price up. And then they've got this massive position in the LP. So they could double their bag just by earning more of the LP at the same time as the appreciation on the ink token. So there's all kinds of strategies to play this.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Huh.
So
Okay.
now the thing that they're farming is more valuable. They're getting more money for the LP that they're providing.
In
Yeah.
fact,
Yeah.
where are the let's go and see. Where are the farms at right now with the ink token?
They're low. I checked like a week ago. I still have a small Ink and Pulse X farm that I just kept open. I'm gonna forget about this and let Ink just continue to drip into my wallet at a slow rate. That way I have some. I'm not selling it. It's my moon bag ink. It's my moon ink bag is what it is. And it's low, man. I think I'm making like 35% APY on that. PulseX Inc. farm or so, maybe even
Sure.
less.
Oh yeah, you're right. On the ink pairs, yeah, Pulse X 44, 34%.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
It's
not
not, yeah.
terrible. In
Yeah.
fact, this might be a time if you felt confident, kind of like Sprack saying, if you felt good about where things are at and you feel like things are bullish, you go and provide liquidity now on those pairs and potentially, yeah, have some opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't know who's been farming this whole time and who's sitting on a large bag of ink that would like to buy up the price of ink so that
Yeah.
they could pull their liquidity. So,
Right. It's a
yeah.
great point. It's a great point. So everyone go out and FOMO buy ink. Cheat your whole bag for ink. Now's
So,
the time.
Sprack, you talk about a break of trend. So have you noticed a very strong break of trend in Pulse?
Yes.
Okay. You want to
Would you
show us
show us
that on
the
the
chart?
chart?
Would you mind?
Yeah, we could do that. Hold on a second.
We don't have to go crazy deep, but like I would love you to point out exactly what gave you the confirmation that like, okay, it looks like we are moving in the other direction now, and it could be moving this way as a trend, right? I
Yeah.
would love to see what you saw
Tab.
and maybe show the audience so they
Sure.
understand. So that way, if people are sitting on the sidelines, this would give you
let's see.
some
Can you guys
reassurity or confirmation maybe to do a DCA if you wanted to. Like I said, no financial advice, go buy bonds. But this is a tool to help you make some decisions. I love following the TA guys. I never want to be the TA guy and learn this craft, but like if we could have a handful of these guys we can follow, we know that do well on charts. This just helps our our confirmations when we should do a DCA, or maybe when we're starting to get a little toppy and the trend breaks the other way, these guys can help us with these decisions.
Yeah, let me know if you could see my screen.
Let me put it up. Oh, there we go. Got it.
Okay.
It's being a
All
little
right. So the
I don't see anything on my end. I don't
let me
know
see.
what
Let me
happened
see
there.
if I'm sharing the right screen.
Yeah, for some reason I see it down here in like the hub, or the bottom windows, but I don't see
but
it.
then when we present it, it just is black. Why is
It's
that?
showing black. Yeah.
Let me go to StreamYard here.
While you're doing that, I'm going to bring this up by Crypto 7. I think you're hitting the nail on the head on this, because we haven't seen this really shift yet. BTC has been obviously the dominator for this whole year. It's been a BTC bull run, in my opinion, all year since we hit that 15,000 level, and we've been, pushing up out of that. So this will be very interesting when we see this shift. I really think Crypto 7, and I could be wrong, but I really think like all of DeFi will have a momentum shift everywhere when this happens. So it's gonna be fun. I'm here for when ETH starts pumping. It's gonna be a blast.
Okay, let me try this again, and let me know if you guys can see it now.
Here we go.
It says
That's a
yeah,
beautiful chart, bro. I don't care what you say. And I don't know much about TA, but I love that chart.
yeah, we're starting to get some action here. And then again, we were watching all of these phases. I'm getting a little bit of lag on StreamYard, but it's no big deal. Oops. Yeah, a little bit of lag on StreamYard, but
Okay.
anyway, so the level that I was looking for was right here, and we broke it. We can also look at some of the more recent levels where we had this head and shoulder pattern, and we broke that. So we've just invalidated this head and shoulder pattern with this break, and we got a nice hard close above that trend line on the daily, which is a really big time frame. The bigger time frames are the more powerful. So that to me is massively bullish. What that means is that we have reclaimed this area of resistance, and what we can look for if we do get a pullback, that's going to be flipped into support. And so now you could see kind of the inverse head and shoulder pattern that could form towards the upside. And again, this is all coinciding with this massive wedge that we've been inside of for the past few months during the scam wick down here. Again, the next boss is going to be up here in this level at the 407. So I'll be looking at some sort of a reaction from that level, maybe a pause, maybe a little dip. If we do get a dip, there'll be another area of support right around here. If you can see that level where we had a little bit of support, and then it broke down and it flipped into the resistance level again. If we reclaim this level, that will be our next level of support again. So we trade these level by level, day by day, and we see if, as we start climbing out of this this depression and little by little breaking these levels, and then you start seeing this trend turn into a steeper trend, and then that trend turn into a steeper trend, and then we start doing what the rest of crypto is doing, which is parabolic. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I see it, especially if we get back to the SAC rate. If we get back to the SAC rate, that's going to be pretty huge. That's a massive psychological level. It's a it's a round number. It's also like people feel like, oh, okay, they're whole again. And then again, it's kind of like they'll be ready to deploy more capital. And I know a couple of guys that were sacked, and they wanted to buy in more and average down their prices a little bit more, but then they said, well, I'm going to wait for this area to get reclaimed, and if we could start trending above that, okay, then I'll buy back in. And that's typically how it works. Once you see something that's successful, it'll gain momentum just like a snowball, because other people see that it's and that's all these markets, they're reflexive systems. So yeah, like I said, we just get up through some of these key levels that I'm talking about, and these are the harder ones to get through. But once you break through these, it's easier to claim the next one, and then once you break that, it's really easy to claim this one, and then once you break through that, then the sky's the limit.
It's
and then
moon time. Yeah,
it's moon time at that
Don't
point.
you think though, before we do break the SAC price, like right when we hit the SAC price, wouldn't you think there's gonna be a lot of resistance there? Because as you said, people felt like they're made whole. Wouldn't a lot of them, the ones that kind of lost their faith in RH, or maybe the ones who didn't paper hand in the lows, wouldn't they paper hand at that level? Wouldn't
Yeah,
it would be a big
For sure. You're going to get some sellers at that point. So there's people that have been holding their bag for this whole time. And, they're like, oh, here's the psychology. Crypto's mooning without me.
Yeah.
Let me take this bag that is not performing and put it in this other bag that's already mooned. And then what happens, that bag will now drop 30%. Because it's already done its massive parabolic run. This bag that you were holding starts to run, and then those people will come back.
And then you've lost like 30% of your bag
on both of the trades.
Oh God, that's a nightmare.
On both of them. And then in my opinion, I think most of the people, and this may have been by design, but most of the people got washed out down here. So they don't have their bags anymore to sell.
Yeah.
70% of the people washed out down here. So what you will have is some of the smarter, sort of larger whale type positions that are like, okay, once I get back up to SAC, let me sell my my bonuses a little bit, take a little bit of profit, set that aside. Maybe, that's, set that aside to let's say diversify into some of the other ecosystem projects. Perfectly understandable there. And that's there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not a panic sell, like, get me out. Of course, we're going to see some some opposition at these levels.
Yeah.
Again, even just structurally, forget about whether it's the SAC rate or not, but just structurally, there was a lot of buying and selling in this level. And so when there's a lot of buying and selling in this level, it becomes anchored in people's memories. And then an explosive move either into that level or an explosive move away from that level generates a psychological anchor point. And yes, just from the chart, we're going to see some volatility there. I expect it. But again, what did we talk about? We're building the floor underneath us. So it's not like this thing's just going to tank. There's a bunch of people that are going to be buying in more and more because the price is recovering. And so you're going to be selling into strength at that point. You're going to be selling into momentum, which is going to be okay. And so we're going to have probably something similar to what's going on here, where price is struggling to get in and out of this area. We'll probably see a little struggle back there. We've seen the same chart in BTC when it bottomed. We saw the same chart in Ethereum, Solana, you name it, all of them. When they had their max FUD, when the FTX collapsed, it dipped down hard, went sideways, started to ramp up. And then when it got to that area, again, it had some struggle to get through that area because there was people that were selling there. They didn't get to sell their bag. When it gets back into that price, they'll be like, okay, now I could sell the rest of it. But I think most of the paper hands were gone down here.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
That could be by design as well.
I feel like the last of the paper hands were washed out when Titan X launched. I'm not dogging Titan X or anything, although I'm not fond of the founder. But I feel like a lot of the Hexicans who were going to sell for a new shiny object did so for Titan X. And that's why we saw some of these whales. We saw the one guy, he dumped it was something ridiculous. It was billions of Pulse X. I was in Puerto Rico, so this was last week. I mean, he dumped, it was $500,000 or something like that worth of Pulse X, and he bridged over to Ethereum and put all into Titan X miners. And I feel like that was the last. I feel like this is the last of the shakeout from the shiny object syndrome. The new shiny object over here is making money. Yeah. It's got better game theory. All the other OG Hexicans are doing it. I got to go do this now. And, I mean, it might work out for them. I don't know. I'm not saying it is. It's not my position to do so. But I always tell people there's nothing wrong with diversification. And I love chasing shiny new objects. I do it all the time. But don't do it with, in my opinion, this is my opinion, it's not financial advice, it's just me. I'm never going to do that with my bags or my core coins that I've invested in. Like how Sami says you have 90% core and 10% lottery. I'm only going to play 90. I'm only going to invest in shiny new objects with new money. I wouldn't sell Pulse X at the bottom to go and chase a shiny new object. So that's where I differ from what a lot of these people are doing. There's nothing wrong with going chasing a shiny new thing. That's fine. There's always going to be something new. And some of these new things will do well. It's just, I don't know which ones, right? But it's crypto. There are going to be some that are going to do great. And there's some things that are going to absolutely suck. It's just how it goes. But that's why I use new money. You use new money, man. I mean, I got my core. I got my bags built. I ain't selling none of those. That's in fact, I'm still DCAing those. Speaking of which, where would you DCA then? One more. If you had one more DCA coming into the holidays, coming into the new year, what level would you think this would retest back to? And you would say, hey, Corey, if this was me, not financial advice, right? Hey, Corey, if this was me, this is where I would pull another, pull the trigger on one more big DCA. What level?
Yeah. So I would break that up into two.
Okay.
And I would say that if price gets rejected from here, right now we're in the middle. Okay. We're in between two levels. Okay. Yep. So, classic trader mentality is you sell the top and you buy the bottom. So if you come down in here and test this level again, that's going to be your flip zone. All right. That's going to be your reversed head and shoulder pattern. So that's going to be an area of support. again, if that fails and we come back down, you look at this trend line that's been happening down here.
Yep.
Again, it's going to possibly be coupled with something that happened over here, right? And so what we'll do is we'll look at the 0.00004 level and the 5.5 level, and I think those might be the last opportunities you have. You may get a buy here, and then you may get something where it touches back here, and then we get something where it comes back. But remember, this floor is rising, and so the opportunity to do that, and if you're just not really sure how to do any of that stuff, just do it on an automatic basis where you're just like, okay, end of the week, whatever I said I was going to.
That's the best way to DCA for most people.
That is the best way to DCA, because look, even all of this trash that you could have said at the end of every one of these weeks, and I think we could put a weekly.
The thing with my situation is now, like, I've got myself a good sized bag, and so like I like playing the game now if I can, like trying to get the best DCA over the course of the last month or two, like, because I've already got a bag. I'm not getting left behind. Like, if they leaves me behind, whatever, I don't need to like keep DCAing on a regular schedule. I agree with you. Most people, that's the way they should do it. That's what I did for a long time. But man, if I could just if I can get that one last opportunity where it was like, oh, I caught the local bottom before it shot up, like, it would be great, right? It's just now it's just a mental thing where you want to get that claim of fame, like, oh, I caught that one last touch before we went up.
I know it always feels good to buy when something goes up right afterwards.
Oh, when you caught the bottom of that local low, right? Like, you're just like, you feel like, and I haven't done that very often. Like, I have not done that very often. I've usually caught the local top. It's like,
for sure.
It's just, the human emotion. And like, the great thing is when you're buying down at these levels, if you caught a local top, like you're going to be made whole no matter what going into the bull run. But it's still on the smaller time frame. It'd be nice to catch a couple good wins.
See, if you had just bought in every week
anywhere in there, it don't matter.
This whole thing, we're actually right around that average price. And so you would have an average price of 0.00005, 5-ish, 5.5, 5.6, 5.8, whatever. So maybe you went heavier because remember how DCA works, right? It's $100 gets you this much tokens up here, and $100 gets you this many tokens down here.
Yeah, infinitely more.
So your bag is actually weighed heavier down to the lower end of the DCA, if you think about it. And the more time that you've spent down here, you see you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 candles down here in the low, and only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And those are weeklies. Those are weekly candles. Yeah.
And it's at the end of the week. So it'll be up here, it'll be down here, and it'll be up here, and then here. So you would have had a lot of opportunity to get here. And so this average would actually have brought you back down to this support level that we're looking at, that 0.00055. Anyway, DCA is kind of like the only free lunch in investing. It really is, because you don't have to think too much. You don't have to do too much TA. You can remove some of the psychology from it, and you can just kind of look back. And there's calculators. You can go back to DCA, like Bitcoin. If you had bought the very top of the last bull run, and you had bought $100 a week every day or every week for since then, I think you'd be up and you'd be in profits right now, even if you had bought the top.
That's incredible when you think about that, because you started in buying the top. It's absolutely incredible. And it reminds me of my Hex experience. I came in and I've told the story many times on stream. I was buying in Hex. Dane actually started a little bit higher than me, but I was buying Hex in the mid 30s, 30 cents when I came in. And now my cost basis is like, I don't know. I haven't looked recently, and I just bought Hex last week. It's probably somewhere in like the 2 cent or lower range now. I have to recalculate it, but it's way down there. Like, if Hex does any kind of like anything, I'm in profit. Like anything, it's great. DCA is your friend. It's how you can reset your cost basis and make yourself whole. Like it's the only way I feel like you can make yourself whole is by DCAing. I have friends that'll text me, "Hey, is this a scam? You got me into this when it launched." And I'm like, "No, bro, you need to reset your cost basis." Well, what do you mean? Are we going to do 1000x? No, reset your cost basis, bro. You need to be buying all these lows if you want to be successful in this protocol. It's just how it goes. That's how investing works. Like, no, it's not a scam because it didn't go 1000x right after you bought. It's not how shit works in life. I wish it did. We'd all be billionaires.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing in life is easy, man. Nothing. That's one of my first things my dad taught me as a kid. Is that anything worthwhile in life, son, is going to be hard. Because if it's easy, it's a scam. It's no different in crypto. Yeah, it is kind of easy in a way, but at the same time, we all paid. Like, we're all paying for this. We're paying dearly for this, and we're going to be made whole. And it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome when we get to the end of the movie. But in the meantime, this was not easy.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, but just for some reason, and you know, I think I know. We can all kind of speculate, but you know, if we look at DexGreeter, Pulse Chain, at least as an ecosystem, it's in the top 10, 11 ecosystems in terms of 24-hour volume. We're at 17 million in 24-hour volume.
Super cool.
You know, almost 300,000 transactions in 24 hours, almost 20,000 blocks. So, this is great. Like, I love that Teddy Bear is crushing it. I love that.
I don't own any. I'm happy that it's doing its thing. I want it to freaking moon hard like bonk over on Solana. So like people could come over here and
holy cow.
That is crazy.
What does that move from the bottom?
So this is a pretty decent let's see all the way from down here. Let's see, that would be a let's see, volume bars.
I think it was like a 10x, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Let's see.
From the very bottom.
For some reason, the measure tool doesn't work on DexScreen or on Teddy Bear. It doesn't give you a percentage.
It doesn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put.
Why is that?
I don't know.
I'm going to put a risk reward calculator, and basically, if I set this to 0, in terms of the liquidation rate. So basically, if I get liquidated at 0.
It would give you your percentage.
Hey, when you buy spot, you get your liquidation rate is at 0.
That's why I love spot.
Right.
That's why I love spot. I've only done one leverage trade in my whole life, and I did it on Fame, and I made $300. I closed it. I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm not. I did a 5x leverage on Pulse on this last big sell off. I made $300, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I got my feet wet. I understand how it works. It was good enough for me.
Okay, so if your liquidation is here's the floor, right? There's 0. All right. So this would have made you a 662%. So that's a 6. That's a 6x.
Yeah.
In the matter of a few days, like a week or so. But easy come, easy go. We're getting a nice little pullback. People took their profits. I'm eyeing this area. I'm not telling you to buy, and I'm not saying I'm going to buy. And if I did buy, I wouldn't tell you. But I'm eyeing this area, and you see how this is massively following. So there was people that FOMO'd in here at the top when they saw this thing mooning, and they saw this on the other chart. And so they're like, oh, look, this is going to easily do this again, right? And it's like, well, maybe not. You're hitting all of this liquidity that's been resting right here, because there was a lot of buying and selling in these areas, and we could kind of see how when we hit some of these pockets of liquidity, there was people that were bag holding from up here, and now it's getting up to that area, and they're like, oh, you know what? I'll take my profits and I'll buy the this other safer play like PulseX or something like that. And this thing is dropping. Now I do see an opportunity, pocket of liquidity here. The explosive move away from this area gives me a nice indication that this is a very hot zone. Maybe even wait for it to come into like a lower price level, like something like that. If you start to see some support, in other words, some people buying this up and getting a little bit of bids, then I'll look at market structure again. I'll look at like how this thing came down. I'll look at what the levels were. I'll look at if it would break a trend and we start forming a wedge pattern. This be a good play money, if you will. It would be
Right.
really good. It would be good play money. Again, risk to reward. If it breaks this level, you might want to get out of the position because now you're going to come down and test these levels. So if you're into the meme coins and you know how to play them, this is okay. If you don't know what you're doing with meme coins, stay away, as far away as possible. This is gambling. This is extremely high risk. But just for me, if I'm looking at this and we come into these levels and we catch a bid and we get a pop and we start breaking some sort of market structure and we get a retest, I may take a nibble. I might, if there's not another better opportunity already somewhere else. And that's kind of what meme coins are that's kind of the narrative behind the meme coin, is that the other assets are boring and they're not moving as much. And so that's typically when meme coins tend to run, or that's when meme coins tend to do the most, is because the main asset is just sitting still and not doing much. And again, you have this dopamine hit. People need to get into stuff and they need to get into movement, right? So they see something moving and they chase it. And that's kind of what I see. And so like if the bigger asset starts to move, then you'll see the money flow into that asset. And then once that asset stops, then you'll see the money flow. It's like the bees are chasing the honey and all these different, wherever the honey is. So anyway, if you guys were interested in looking at least do it with some strategy, do it with some TA, do it with some, like, where am I going to get in? Where am I going to get out? Really, like if you did buy this thing, well,
yeah, I wouldn't buy that chart right now.
let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. If we did have some sort of a pullback into this area, right? And we did have like some sort of market structure start to trend up and then it lines up with the downtrend. Let's just say that we could look at a fib extension. This is a great tool to use. All right. So you would see a pullback into this area. And I like, in stocks, I used to use or other markets, Forex stocks, you would use the 618s and the 17, because you wouldn't get those big explosive moves. But in crypto, you get the 3s and you get the 4s. And so I'd be looking at the 4618 and the 3618 as possible take profit zones. And so I would be looking up here as a take profit zone. And so getting the market to pull back, and if we do get an explosive rally up to the 3618, this would be a great place to take profits. So TP1 here, TP2 there. Maybe you take profits at the 1618 because this thing could go south. And so you got to have an entry, you got to have an exit strategy to all of this stuff. Again, if this level fails right here, this level fails, you're going straight down to the bottom. And so you may want to look at how this is performing. And if it is failing this level, then it's better to just cut your losses at a very, very small loss than to be riding this thing all the way back down, especially when that money could have better been served in another asset.
Yep.
So yeah,
that's always the biggest issue, is opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost. Yeah.
Opportunity cost of your capital.
Yeah. Right. And tiny amounts. Remember, guys, this is the higher the risk, the lower your allocation should be to any of this stuff. Like, because again, the gains are sick, right? So like you only need 1/10 of the capital to make this much money in a short amount of time. So it's designed that way. It's not designed for you to put a large amount of your position in there, especially if you haven't full sized already on your major core assets. It would not be smart to do this first. It would be smarter to already have your major bags packed, your major positions, your very, secure, safer plays. And then if you have a little bit of extra, you're like, okay, there's 1% of my cash that I haven't deployed yet. Let me see if if the opportunity is there. Again, you have to have the signal coincided with what's happening in the market, with what the sentiment is. Right now, at this moment, Bitcoin is sucking all of the air out of the room because of
Yeah,
because of the
that's what
ETF narrative.
Crypto 7 was saying earlier.
Most of the major altcoins have been running since November. And there was a clear bottoming out in some of the mid caps. And we saw a lot of that activity. You saw things that were dead for a long time. Internet Computer, Celestia, Injective Protocol. A lot of these older coins are now starting to run extremely hard. And, they've been building the whole bear market. So the underlying products are working. They all have dexes now. They all have meme coins. They all have derivative products on top of them. I'm actually really proud of what all of these ecosystems are doing, and I think it's a success breeding success type of a situation. And I think B Roots had it right on the money. He was like, okay, so the bees went to Solana, and then now all the meme coins on Solana are pumping. Okay, what's next? AVAX. All right, now all the meme coins on AVAX are pumping. Okay, well, what's next? Injective. All right, boom, all the meme coins on it. And then they went to other things like Internet Computer, and they went to Celestia, and now they're doing like these odd plays. And he's like, where is nobody looking? Nobody's looking on Pulse Chain. And it's funny because like not just Rand, but that there was a couple other influencers that I saw that were just like, oh, I don't know, I don't think it's going to make it. And there was people commenting that, oh yeah, nobody's on there. There's no transaction volume, and there's no, there's no adoption. And it's kind of like, wait a minute, what am I missing? We're seeing like $17 million of volume each day. We're like in the top 10. What am I missing? And here's what you're missing. If you go to CoinGecko, you don't see us anywhere.
Yep.
So the ranking sites and the whatever you want to call it, the trading views. Oh yeah, where do I look that up? Oh yeah, go to Trading View. Yeah, look at crypto. You could see everything. So like all of the tools that are used to scan these products and to research these products are not listing these products, and that has a lot to do with what the SEC is in the court cases. And so again, a lot of this is going to get lifted once there is clarity in the case. Again, to us, we know that it's FUD because there is no case. There's just guilty until proven innocent, because these guys haven't gone on chain and looked at the wallets. So again, we'll let that blow over, and in the meantime, once that gets lifted, actually it could be the other way around. It could be that the market doesn't give a shit. People want to trade meme coins, and you're going to see them popping up more and more and more and more on Pulse Chain. Why? Because of what we talked about earlier. And I think B Roots had it right on the money. These meme coin guys, especially the real guys, the real professional guys, they're not telling you about the coin until it's too late.
Sure.
They've already got their 10, 20, 30x, and then you see it on Twitter and they're exiting.
Yep.
Right? Not necessarily like dumping out their whole bag on you, but they're saying, look, I'm going to remove some of the position. I'm going to take some profits, and I'm going to keep that on the side for the next meme coin. And a lot of these guys are up, 6-7 figures already. And this is just the beginning of the bull market. And again, there's this opportunity is like, okay, we ran out of opportunities in this ecosystem. Okay, we ran out of opportunities in this other one. Where's the new frontier? And that's where I think Pulse Chain is going to come in. Just my opinion.
That's awesome. I love it.
We're patiently waiting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
told Dane, me and Dane need to go on Rand's show so we can present all the utility tokens to Rand. Since B Roots shilled the meme tokens, someone needs to go in there and shill Fame. Someone needs to go shill Power City. Someone needs to go shill even Mintra, right? Like the stuff that we have that has all the use case besides the memes. Would be cool if some of us or one of us could get up on his stage and do that. I mean, I love the meme coins. I'm all about it, and I think we need it. It's going to be good for the ecosystem. It brings the eyeballs over. We want that. Like, I want Teddy Bear to do 100x. I would love to see it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But right now everybody's watching Godzilla. You know, we're waiting for Big Daddy Bitcoin to move, and we just broke structure, which is like crazy because it takes a lot of money to do this. And this is a very big candle.
For your
on the
show
4
you're
hour.
talking about, we're still seeing a teddy bear.
Let's see. Share new tab. Okay. I'm going to share my trading view now. Okay. Can you guys see my
we can.
Okay. Yeah. This is Bitcoin. And you see this big wedge that we've been in for the past month or so. This is since maybe December we popped into it, and then we traded sideways for most of the month. And before that, it was in trending up underneath this level. I got this level marked from back here. This was kind of our upper resistance band that we couldn't really break above. It just kept rejecting off of it, and we finally broke above it. And what happens when you break above resistance? You come back and test it for support. So here you have support, and then obviously another downtrending wedge, forming the wedge, and then breaking up above it, coming back into it, testing for support. And we see support all the way back into this levels. So bam, 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 bam,
That's
right
wild.
there. So this is a great place to DCA in if you are trading the ETF narrative. Because again, this is that January. Right now, you and I, retail, we get to front run Wall Street because once they get the green light for the approval, it's still going to take them 6 weeks to roll out any of their products.
Really?
And yeah, okay. because they can't just offer it. They have to set up a cash account because of the way that Gary Gensler is making them structure the deal. It has to be a cash settled account. It can't be in kind, meaning you can't send Bitcoin into it. You have to send dollars into it, and the fund has to go and trade based on what it has in its reserves. And so there probably was already a lot of buying of Bitcoin so that they could have it in their reserve. But if they need more, they're going to have to go back into the open market and do more OTC deals to fill that reserve account so that they could do the cash transfers into the ETF. And they want to do that so that they could track the money, because they can't necessarily track the wallets as good as they want to. And this is just, more regulatory oversight. And if that's what they want, and that's what they needed to get this thing passed, then that's what they had to do. And I think those were the final meetings of the SEC's comments to BlackRock, and they have met with the NASDAQ people, and they have met with all of the ETF filing firms. And I think that was the last thing that the SEC that they wanted. And I think that they're going to have to do it. Otherwise, you can't get listed. So I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen, January, would they say January 10th is the deadline. So yeah. When there's there's really big money on the sideline, and what happens with the snowball right now, there's uncertainty. We don't know. Just the fact that the narrative is there that the ETF is coming and that it's approved and that it's just a matter of like rolling the product out and starting to offer it. And then they offer it to certain people first, and then before it gets to you, and then they have to set up all their trading desks. And it's obviously they've been doing a lot of that already. It's not like they're not just going to hit a button and say go. They're going to have a plan, and they've probably already had this plan already built into when, as soon as we get approved, this is the things that we have to get done. And like I said, there's a lot of sideline money that's waiting for that approval. You're going to see a rush come in to front run the ETF on Wall Street, because again, they know that there's $34 trillion of assets under management in these funds. You get 1% of that, and you double the market. And it's a pretty intense trade where you're going to see all of the people buying at spot to front run the ETF trade, because it's not a buy the rumor, sell the news. It's buy the rumor, buy the news. And then finally, once the liquidity hits the market and the ETF starts trading, then it's sell the event, like not the news, but the event. Okay. So once that liquidity comes in and they start bidding and they start buying this stuff up, that's when I would be taking profits on that trade. Not necessarily because the ETF came out. The ETF comes out. Well, we don't have any liquidity yet. We just have confirmation that this product is going to trade. And then once that starts to trade, then you'll be able to have the ability to live. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of my thesis.
What are your thoughts in respect of I've seen some people post about how BlackRock has been suppressing the price of gold because they can, and that them getting into Bitcoin, that they'll suppress the price of Bitcoin as well. Everybody is feeling, I feel like most people are thinking that ETFs are really bullish, which makes me nervous that maybe they're not, because if that's what everybody's thinking, well then, does it actually not play out particularly well? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if you look historically, well, first of all, BlackRock's going to manipulate everything that they have in their books, and they're going to manipulate it towards their advantage. But really, they're a cash flow business. They make most of their money off of the trading activity and the managerial services. So they don't make money if a product is just sitting still.
Sure.
They make money off of movement. They make money off of retail buying. They make money off of 401k plans, retirement funds, things like that. So the more activity that you see, the better they do, whether it's up, down, or sideways. Could they manipulate price? Yes, they could. But we all know historically what happened to gold after gold had its first ETF. And the price just skyrocketed. It went parabolic. So not saying that history repeats itself, but it will rhyme. And a lot of the guys that, like, I know people from my office where I work, and a lot of them are very conservative. I'm like the crypto degen. They're more like stocks, and they do like a lot of trading and that kind of thing. But they're just like, I'm like, really, what are you guys waiting for? And they're just like, it needs to be a security. It needs to be security. I need to be able to pull it up. I need to be able to see it on my Fidelity account. That's where I have all my stuff. I don't want to go to Coinbase, Kraken, this place, that. I don't want to.
Definitely don't want to go to DeFi then.
They definitely don't. These are boomer guys. These are guys that have, again, confirmation biases are very strong. If you made money in real estate for the past 25, 30 years and you made a killing, you're like, well, why do I need this crypto stuff anyway? I'm already sitting on a lot of money, and I'm confirmed biased that the way I did it was right because my bank account says so. And so a lot of
Right.
people are very good at whatever industry they're in, and it was confirmed by the amount of money they made on it. Not seeing the opportunity is going to bite them later, because they're going to say, well, I saw this thing, I I didn't act, and now it's at this other price point, and I need to reevaluate my thesis. And so again, a lot of money is waiting on the side to buy this
Would
thing.
would you mind pulling up the price chart of gold? Do you know what
Yeah,
when the ETF went live first? What that looked like?
I don't know, but
I
that's a
saw it
good
on
question.
Twitter a few weeks
Yeah.
ago. It someone had a
It's
chart where it
way back
showed it.
here.
Yeah, it
It's
went
way back
parabolic.
here. So 2000, was it in the 2000s? Was it in the mid
I
2000s?
feel like it's somewhere in that era. Yeah, it went parabolic though. During it was a short, and it was not like
November 2004.
it wasn't like right before. I didn't see any buy the rumor, sell the news with it. But of course, I mean, markets were a little bit different back then. I mean, I feel like the longer we go through time, the more mature we are, and the more
Yeah.
we front run stuff,
So,
the more we.
so here's November of 2004, right here. And the gold was
Yeah,
trading
there
at
you go. You see, that's
430
crazy.
$435 an ounce. And it went parabolic right after that.
That's wild.
Obviously not in a straight line. It did some wiggles, but yeah, it was in a depression for the past 20 years.
It's
until
wild.
that had it. Yeah, the 20 lost years. But hey, fair enough. It held its value.
Right.
So, whatever. You could have done better with Apple stock. But anyway, yeah, okay. So parabolic, just a pullback. I think the gold chart is bullish, to be honest. And if you ask me, like a little bit of gold in a portfolio is not a bad play. If you look at what I'm seeing here on this chart, we have this massive uptrend. Okay, and then let's tie it back to this tipping point right here. Okay, so you have this massive uptrend, and we have a market structure forming right here. Again, market structure. I have to see structure. You have this wedge, right? And what did we do? We creeped up to this level. And so now we have a rising wedge pattern. Right? So if you're doing this, if we get above this level, I think gold goes parabolic again. But hey, I don't know.
Could be around 2025 when everything starts collapsing, except for
gold
precious
can go to
metals, and maybe even certain cryptos would go crazy depending on
here's how I would measure the
banks
chart.
collapsing or whatever else.
Here's how I would measure the move. Here's how I would measure it. Let's see. We get a nice leg into the base. Oh, man, trading views giving me some headaches here. Hold on a second. Just not guaranteed to happen, but if you have a measured move into a base, your breakout is in the opposite direction.
You were sure.
And we hit a $3,000 roughly ounce of gold.
Where's it at right now?
It's at 2K.
At what time frame though? Like that's like years in the future, right?
2028, 2027, 2028. So I don't know.
Interesting.
And it depends, really. It depends, because if we break out now, it can happen sooner than later. It can happen in 2 years instead of 4 or 5. But I almost guarantee you it'll be up there, because remember, we're lining up with all of the macroeconomic events. We're lining up with the Fed pivot.
That's interesting.
We're lining up with what possibly could be a massive correction, which possibly could lead to more money printing. And we've printed more money in this past 4 years than has ever existed. And so you're going to see the value of gold rise against the dollar no matter what. This is a weekly chart, by the way. This is a big, massive weekly chart. So
Right.
these structures, they mean something on a weekly chart. Remember this was the previous floor, or sorry, this was the previous ceiling here, which became the new floor. And so if we break above this, the 2000 becomes a new floor, and just trade level to level, price action to price action.
Once again, it's just confirmation that I'm in the right place in the right time with the right asset. That's all this does for me. It just gives me more confirmation that this shit's about to go parabolic. It's going to be great.
The risk in crypto is to the upside, and the risk.
Yeah, I can go to zero and I'll just go out and make more money. But my upside is infinitely more than any other asset class.
Than anything, by a huge margin.
Oh my gosh. I can go to the moon, and then we'll be chilling on yachts in Puerto Rico, and you guys will all be coming out. It's going to be a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's the stock market. S&P 500 is about to crack a new all-time high.
That's kind insane to me.
Wild.
We tested it. Most of the indexes are up. NASDAQ up. Dow Jones up.
Wild.
Like Boeing stock, it's about to crack this level. So we've been holding this level for a minute. If we trade above this level of the 269, we have a fair value gap all the way to the 300, 317, 330. So like this would be a good Boeing trade. Again, if you have a stop loss down here because you have a floor, you have a previous level of resistance at that, and you'd have a fair value gap all the way to these levels before you start to hit a pocket of resistance. And then, but I don't, in the next few years, I do see Boeing probably creeping back up to its all-time high. Now there is a little bit of controversy with some of these levels because Boeing was doing a lot of buybacks, stock buybacks during this time here. Sure. So like this big massive rally right there was a stock buyback. And what that does is it removes a lot of the liquidity from the market.
Boeing get in trouble from the SEC for doing that?
No.
Seriously.
Well, what the hell then, bro? Like what are we even talking about here? Like what?
No. It's
man. Jeez.
It's manipulation, but at the same time, it's kind of like this.
It's the same shit.
No, let's put it in
crypto, but we get in trouble for it.
I know.
We get in trouble for it. Like, come on. Like,
I know. But there's things in crypto that you can do that you cannot do in stocks. And so there's some advantages there. But the rationale behind the stock buyback is that these companies have a treasure chest, right? They have this big war chest of money that they've been earning throughout the year. Let's say you have a $3 billion contract, a $10 billion contract, all this money's coming in, and you have to do something with it. I think MicroStrategies had a pretty good thesis on it and why they bought Bitcoin. He said you can reinvest on R&D, okay, research and development, beef up your workforce, pay your people, do some stock dividends, do things like that. That'll actually improve the value of the company, and then the value of the company gives it a better PE ratio because of how the assets under the management. The other thing you could do with that money is you could buy other smaller companies, and Boeing does that too. They acquire these little smaller aerospace companies, and when they do that, they absorb all of their patents and they absorb all of their intellectual property and all of their employees, which the employees are the most valuable part of any of these corporations. Or C, buy back your own stock. And so what do you do with this money? Because remember, money it's inflationary. So you're sitting on an ice cube, and when you're this big, when you're as big as MicroStrategies or Microsoft or any of these companies, you're sitting on a $10 billion ice cube and it's melting. What do you do with it? Well, the companies that you buy have to outperform the money. And what's the better thing to do? You could buy back your own stock, right? And then
Right.
what does that do? That removes the circulating supply. So
Mhm.
there's less available on the exchanges, so that the demand goes up. Now, MicroStrategies did something else. He says, okay, I could have bought my own stock, right? And then eventually, like at some point, there's diminishing returns on that trade. And we kind of saw that. If I buy Bitcoin, I can hedge not only the stock market, but I can also hedge my own company's performance. And not only that, but I can improve the value of the assets under management in the company by underwriting it as an AUM. And that's where I think he had a brilliant idea. I we could criticize his purchase prices and things like that, but I think he did do well in terms of the thesis. He could have bought a little bit cheaper, or I don't know. It's easy to criticize, but when you're sitting on that much money, $3-4 billion, and it's melting in front of you, what are you going to do with it? You're either going to lose it to inflation, or you're going to lose it to taxes, or you're going to give a third of it to the government anyway. You might as well do something with it. And I think he did see a good trade. It's a multi-year, 10-year, 20-year trade. I think he's already in profit now. I think
I
he's
know he is. Yeah.
he's in profit by $2 billion on that trade.
It's wild.
Right. And he not only he did two things by doing that. And I don't know if he did this intentionally, but he made MicroStrategies a leverage trade on Bitcoin. Because if you buy MicroStrategies, you're buying the AUM, which is their assets under management. And if they own Bitcoin, that much freaking Bitcoin, and this is the only exposure you have to the market because it's not a registered security yet, there's no ETF, then you had the exposure that you wanted to Bitcoin through MicroStrategy stock. And as his stock went up, he could borrow more money against it and buy more Bitcoin. So he put MicroStrategies into a degen box.
Sounds like a Ponzi.
Yes. Yes. He played it masterfully. So I give him kudos for that. And he also changed some of the regulation behind how companies can report their assets, because previously you could not report a gain or a loss appropriately on your books, because at the end of the year you have to show how much you made and how much you lost. So if the value of your Bitcoin dropped, you couldn't write it off as a loss. But if it went up, you had to pay taxes on it.
Right.
Which is crazy, because you could be making a shit ton of money one year, and then another year you're down a little bit, but it doesn't cover the past 2 or 3 years that you were just crushing it. So anyway, I know, long story. Somebody was talking about Ethereum. I think I was looking at the ETH
BTC.
The ETC is a very interesting chart. Very interesting chart, because we're revisiting this level from all the way in 2018.
Very interesting.
Back in 2018, we had this level, and we've broken above it, come back and tested it as support. And so now that's a new support level. There is another level just underneath here that I'm kind of eyeing, that I think we could come back and retest. But we have the bigger, stronger level, which is this trend line that's been trending up. And so the floor on Ethereum versus Bitcoin is been going up over the past 4 years or so. And so again, we're going to get some resistance here. I think we can come back and revisit this level, because remember, Bitcoin's going to run first, I think, and then we'll see that dominance take over, and Bitcoin could trade against Ethereum down here. But I think once we get into these levels, you'll see Ethereum just start to run. And again, we gotta look at where the breakouts are going to be. So we're going to have a breakout at some point, and I'll be keeping an eye on this wedge, because once we break this downtrend, this downtrend resistance, then we're going to see a possibility of testing these highs, and if we get past these highs, there's the fair value gap is way up here. And then now you're going to 10 to 1. So anyway, that could happen. We don't know. We're just going to keep an eye on it. Ethereum does look bullish though. everybody's crapping on Ethereum, but I think Ethereum itself looks bullish. And here's my thesis behind it. We're getting into this level that I've been tracking for a while. Again, we've got this support level back in 2020. This is during the collapse. This is the area that everybody bought up to give you that bear market relief rally. This is the sucker rally. All right. And then it tested this backside and sold off from there. Now, that is a major psychological area, because every time we came up into here, we sold off from it. We came up in here, we sold off from it. But again, look at this massive wedge on the bottom. And we finally broke up above it. Not only that, but 1, 2, about to close the third candle. This is on the weekly time frame. This is a really massive time frame. So we just closed above that level. 1, 2, 3 candles. And I think it was just waiting for Bitcoin to move. And look at this fair value gap all the way up to $3,000. Right? So not a lot of resistance up in this level. Not until, because we already crushed this guy. We've hit him 1, 2, 3 times. And we get to trade up here. Ethereum floats up to the the $3,000, $3,300 level. And that's a massive move for such a large market cap. But I think Ethereum is the trade that everybody is sleeping on right now. Because all of these other assets are up. Solana's up, and Solana has a fair value gap, but I think it's going to close up into it pretty soon. Once it hits $100, there's a psychological level at $100. You'll see some sell pressure there. You'll definitely see some sell pressure at 136. Again, going back to some of these liquidity pockets that happened on the last bull run. And again, who's going to be selling at those levels? Well, remember, there's VCs in these coins. They're not going to suppress the price right now. They're going to let price move into a level where they can get filled on the liquidity, and eventually you'll wash them out too. And again, large caps, mid caps, and then things like BNB will start to run. Things like Polkadot will start to run, and things like Phantom, Injective, and some of these have already started to do their run. Injective's been crushing it. I slept on this one. This one was just monster. This one's already past its all-time high from the last cycle.
Oh, jeez. What's that move from the bottom?
This is we've got TradingView. TradingView is a little nicer to us. But this is a 3,400% or 3,300%. Let's just say a 3,000% move.
Jeez.
Say 300x or so. 200x. Yeah. So that's nasty. And like if you were sniping down here in the depression, a good area to buy, again, go back to my TA charts, a good area to buy would have been right here. As soon as we broke this massive downtrend around August of 2022, and it went sideways. This was accumulation, and then it popped up above it. And you get like a little price appreciation on a pullback. This would have been a nice area to get in, right around here, around $2. You'd be up 20x.
Jeez.
But hey, that's crypto. But yeah, I'm
the market cap on that one right now.
I'm not worried about it.
No, don't chase any shiny objects. What I do recommend, or what I do for myself is I look at other ecosystems and I say, okay, what's possible? Why is this happening? What does the liquidity look like?
Yeah, I like that.
All of that stuff. It's like, these are examples, and these are things that
I don't know if we'll shoot up that quick like that. That's pretty incredible. We could. It's always. We could alwak happen, but
look,
that's an incredible move.
There's a sell-off, right? Then there's a retest of that sell off, suckers rally. Then you go deeper, right? And in the bear market FUD, bam, this is depression. Again, what did we see on the other charts, right? You saw a break of this level starting to trend up, Remember, you got to defeat these bosses. You have this boss to defeat, you have this boss to defeat, you have this boss to defeat. So once you clear out all of this crap and you get up above this level, there's nothing in front of you.
Got it. Oh man, I can't wait till we get above all those levels in Pulse Chain. That's gonna be
that's how these systems work. We got to clear.
It makes sense to me now. I get it.
Right.
All the paper hands are gone after that point. It's like it's free. It's all the shackles are taken off, and it can really do what it wants to do now.
That's right.
That makes perfect sense. Wow. We're staring into the future right now, boys and girls. That's what we're doing.
And some of these haven't run yet. Algo hasn't run yet. ICP hasn't run yet. Well, it's starting to. Aave Uni, Filecoin. Filecoin hasn't run yet. There were some issues with Filecoin, but I think it has a bright future in terms of that AI narrative. Again, this is not like, oh, go buy some Filecoin. It's like, no, go look at the Filecoin on Pulse Chain if there is one. Go look at things that could be on the chains that haven't yet run, where the opportunity still exists.
Right.
What was the other? I was looking at some other tokens. AOS is another one, had a massive bear market, and then it just boom. As soon as it cleared some of this FUD, as soon as it cleared the FUD, look at where the fair value gap is, right up there.
Jeez.
And that's what I'm talking about. Once we get clear of all of this trash sellers, then it's just a matter of just going straight up to the next fair value gap. And again, if you're in an all-time high position, there is nothing above you. And this is AOS. This was a decentralized streaming. They have a pretty good idea. I don't know if it'll work, but it has a narrative for decentralized YouTube, and people are going to trade off of narratives. Launch pads are going to do well, like Paid Network. They have a token. I'm keeping an eye on this because of look at what it did on the last bull run, and again, it has to clear through all of this bear market FUD, and if it does, the fair value gap on this particular token is all the way up here, the $5, and it's trading at 22 cents. Again, not telling anyone to buy any of this stuff. I'm just looking at examples of how these reflective systems work.
Interesting.
And if you look at something like Solana has Orca, which is their DEX token, again, it sold off, had to break above all of this FUD, and then boom. So same thing with Radium. Radium is actually a little bit older. Radium's actually just getting started. It still needs to break up above all this area, but then once it does, gets up here to the top, and it's going to trade at about $11, $12 at the minimum. And it's sitting at $1 or something. Well, what's the DEX token on Pulse? Well, Pulse X. So I'd be looking at things like Radium. If you want to analyze Pulse X, I'd be looking at things like Orca, looking at things like Trader Joe on AVAX. Pangolin is their new one. So this just gives you kind of an idea. We can't sit in an echo chamber. We really have to look outside and see what these other ecosystems are doing, what's making them successful, in how to position yourself, because this is going to be a multi-chain environment, and you're going to have to do things like Portal X, things like Wormhole, where you start linking these chains together, and you get that cross swap, and you can't be racist when it comes to ecosystems, because that never worked in the past. It didn't work for humans. It didn't work for anyone. It didn't work for languages. You needed to trade, right? You have to learn English, Spanish, Chinese. Right? You have to set up trade routes. All of these ecosystems need to play well together, because that's how they succeed together. Yeah, that's my take.
I like it. It's exciting. Well, appreciate you jumping on today, man. We've covered a ton of charts. It's good to be able to see more than the norm and be able to see, the rest of crypto. It's nice to see that everything hasn't just gone straight up without us. There's a time and a place for everything, and we're here for it. So it'll be cool.
It's coming, bro. Trust me, it's coming.
It's coming. Absolutely. Cool, guys. Well, once again, appreciate you being here. Appreciate the comments. This has been great, Sprag. Thank you especially for coming on. With that, we'll catch you guys later.
Peace, guys. Smash the likes. Hit the subscribe on your way out.